Hey there, this is Amy from Wander Creative, and today I'm going to take you guys through how I like to cull my images from a large gallery. As we all know, when you take a lot of photos, it can take some time to go through those photos and pick out your favorites. So I'm going to take you through my favorite way of doing that, and I do that inside of Adobe Lightroom Classic. So here we have a large gallery of images. It's actually 8,162 images strong. You can see that number down here in the lower left-hand corner. This is a gallery of images that is actually taken over 8 days in Costa Rica. And I'm gonna cull through some images that were taken at some feeders on our first full day there. So what I like to do is I like to stay on this library panel. So up here in this menu bar across the top, you'll see library is your first option. You'll want to start there in library. And then I like to click on these 4 squares right here, and that's going to take you into this gallery-like view. Now, if you open up Lightroom and you're on one image that looks something like this, you just click on these 4 squares and it's going to pull up this gallery view. I like being on this view because it allows me to see a lot of different images all at once, and it's going to take some trust, right? So I am going to trust in the fact that the majority of these images are as sharp as I'd like for them to be. So really what I'm doing when I go through and cull my images the first time is I'm looking to pull in different poses versus what is actually sharp versus what is not sharp. So after we go through and do this, then we'll be able to review those images again and make sure they're actually sharp. At that point, you can then select an image before that one or after that one and double check to see if there's anything that's sharper or of a different quality than the one that you had initially selected. But this will do a great job of making sure that you're pulling in the right birds, the right subjects, the right poses that works best for you. So as you can see, this one's kind of outlined in white, this image is, and that's because I had already selected this one. And I did that when I realized, oh, I should probably be recording this and showing you guys my process for culling images. So to select this image, I press P for pick on my keyboard. And you can see down here in this main almost timeline of images down here that it has a little flag on it. That means that I've chosen it. So this one, I come up here and hit pick, which I had already done so. And now I'm going to just kind of keep scrolling through here. Let's see. This one doesn't have a ton of frame at the top of it, although I really like the pose. I like the pose better than I like the one on the left because there's more space between the bill and the foot here. So I'm going to actually select this one, and then when we go to edit it, I would actually create some more frame along the top of the bird, and I'll show you guys that when we go through and actually edit the images. This one I really like too, but the bananas are right here, and I know I've got a ton of photos of this yellow-throated toucan is the bird, so I'm not going to worry about choosing that one right now. So let's just keep going down. Let's keep coming down. And let's see, let's grab this one. Now let's come in and let's grab this one. And as you can kind of see, I'm just trusting my gut here. These two are very similar, but the framing is a little different as to how much frame is on the right versus the left. So I'm just grabbing them both. And then when we go through and do a second round of culling, we'll be able to decide which one of those that we like best. So this one is a lot like that initial one I talked about where the bananas were near him. A very similar pose. He's just facing the opposite direction, which is just fine. I don't care necessarily if it's his left side or right side, so I'll select that one. Let's see here. We've got some white-necked Jacobins coming into a flower. Let's select that guy. Let's select this one. Come down here. We can do pretty well with removing objects, even with objects that are behind the bill of the bird. But if I don't have to, I don't want to, right? So even though, actually, let's go ahead and select one of these because I can do an editing video for you guys to show you how I might remove this bit of banana. behind his bill. So we'll select that one. I'll come down here. And for now, I think that's pretty good. We've now gotten into a bunch of other birds, some hummingbirds fighting over a flower, and that's pretty good. And now we're into that. Okay, so now that we've got our yellow-throated toucan images selected, I'm going to come over here to this little drop down on the lower right-hand corner of my screen, and it's going to default to filters off. Instead of filters off, I'm going to move that to flagged. And now we've got the images that we had flagged. So if you want to see just the toucan images, I have been culling some other images before this one as well, before I started the video. You can actually click on the first or the last image in that sequence and then hold down Shift and select all of them. And then I'm going to press N. And that then allows me to see just the images that I have selected. Now, obviously, we've got these two Jacobins in here, so I'm going to just press this X in the lower right-hand corner to get them out of my view. It still leaves those images as flagged, so it didn't change their status. They're still flagged, but it's just out of this view of where I can now evaluate which image it is that I want to edit first. So, taking a look at these, let's see here. I like this one, even though his tail's cut off, because this eye is actually really sharp. And I think it's just a really neat pose of his bill coming down. And I love these backgrounds. The backgrounds on these lower section of images is actually a little chunkier. It's not quite as smooth and pretty as we'd like, but we can do a little something there to make that better. So I'm going to go with this image right here as the first image that I would like to edit. So for this sequence, for this bird, I'm going to rate now this one as a 5. Now, setting that rating to 5 means that all of these are still picked. And as I would go through these, if I determine, I no longer want this one, I can press X, and X marks it as rejected. So when I come back here to filters off, I can find the rejected one somewhere in here. Let's see, there it is. So as you can see, it's slightly grayed out, and it looks like it's actually a little soft. So it's good that I rejected that one. It's slightly grayed out, and it does still have the flag on it, but the flag has a little X through it. So you'll still be able to view whichever ones that you reject. They'll just no longer show up when you're on your flagged view. So to come back in here, and let's select these guys yet again, and get you two out of here. Now let's double check. Let's see, I've marked this one as a 5. I'm gonna zoom in, and he is pretty sharp. It looks like maybe there's just a little bit of motion blur around here. I could see lots of fine feather detail. It looks like maybe the focus was just slightly missed. That the throat feathers here are crisper than the feathers around his eyes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to move this back to filters off. And now I'm going to look at the images on either side of the one that I had picked. And wouldn't you know that this one, actually, it has me highlighted on the ones on the flagged images first. So now that I'm on just this image, I don't have the others selected. I'm on just this image. Now I'm going to go to the images before that are in the same view. Looks like this one's a little sharper. I'm probably splitting hairs here. They all look pretty darn sharp. So I like these two before and after him. Let's go ahead and roll with this one. So I'm going to mark this one as my pick instead and mark him as 5 and then set this one as rejected and then press 0 to remove that rating. So now I have selected my appropriate image that I now know is sharp. So if you guys can imagine going through a ton of photos, right? Thousands of photos, and just taking a look at each section of images for your birds and quickly picking your favorites, right? Mark them as picked, and then after you're done, you can take a look at all those picked images and pick your favorite. If you need to slightly adjust which image you want to edit by looking to see which one is sharp and which one isn't on either side of that image, you can do so. But hopefully, most of the time, you've nailed it and your gear will have a sharp image for you. But I found that editing and culling images in this stage of editing, it's a lot easier to go through and pick your poses of your subject first rather than pick the ones that are sharp. Because in order to pick the ones that are sharp, you have to get up close and personal on your images, and that can just take a lot of time if you're going through each image one by one versus looking at them as a gallery and picking out your favorite poses. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that helps speed things up for you when you guys are picking out your favorite images. And I will talk to you guys next time as we actually edit one of these images of this yellow-throated toucan. Talk to you soon.